Morning, folks. Joe here at The View on the 28th, Friday, just before the weekend. And bit of Leeds news. How we're going to break this video down today is Leeds news at the start and then match preview for the Liverpool game. Again, try and keep this balanced and sane. Also, just for anyone who isn't aware, the interview we've done with Cam Inman, the San Francisco 49ers reporter, will go live on the channel at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. There's some great insights into the 49ers as an ownership model. There's some detail around Parag Marate, what he's like, what he will bring to the club, how he feels about the current situation, as well as what we can expect from an all-out buy-up in terms of stadium, in terms of player building, all of that. All I'll say is I came away from the interview feeling quite positive about the 49ers, but I'll let you make up your own mind on that. The video goes live 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. That's tomorrow morning, 29th. So we'll crack on with the news and then we'll go into the match preview. Might be a bit longer than normal, but if you don't want to watch the preview, that's okay. We'll get the news out of the way first. So starting off with Tyler Adams, and rumours from ESPN are that Manchester United are eyeing Tyler Adams. They have had an eye on him since his time at Leipzig, and they are a big fan of his. They are still looking to add a defensive midfielder to their panel, and Tyler Adams is one of the players that they are keen to bring in. They've had a good look at him again this season as well, and they like what they see, pretty much. So that wouldn't go down well with anybody. So we'll wait and see what happens there. December, Jesse Marsh in his press conference yesterday, we'll get to that in the preview, but Jesse Marsh's press conference did say that Leeds are rethinking their December plans. The plan during the World Cup break was to take 2 weeks off and then head across to San Francisco to do a camp and some second pre-season friendlies while they were over there. Jesse said yesterday that the original plans for the World Cup break were the 2 weeks campaign in San Francisco, but that they are modifying plans for the World Cup and how they can maximise things and maximise travel and timings as well. So I'm interested to see what Leeds do when they get over there, or what those plans are going to be. I'm assuming we'd see that plans in the next couple of weeks. We get an idea of what's going to happen. I wouldn't be giving players time off right now. Personally, considering how badly they've been playing, I keep them in. I go all Bielsa on them. No days off. In you come, train. Sean Dyche has been talking this morning about rumours linking him with lots of jobs, not just Leeds. And a bit of it was labelled as a classy statement, and I kind of like it as well. He said that he hasn't gone to watch many Premier League games since he's been out of work, because as soon as he's there and the clubs he wants to watch, he's automatically linked with the job there. He said that he hasn't gone to watch Leeds or Aston Villa because he doesn't feel it's fair to the managers that are there who are under pressure at the time, and he will likely be linked with that job. And he said, but even there's no truth in it. He also said that he went to a game where 11 managers were present at the match and 9 of them were out of work. And if you're a manager under pressure and you see 9 managers out of work in the stands, you know, there's a lot of people gunning for your job. So Dyche said he doesn't like to do that. He said he likes to leave managers alone, clubs alone. He said he doesn't think it's fair and puts unnecessary pressure on people, and fair play to him. Moving on to transfer news and potential incomings in the left-back area. We've been linked with this player before. Fabiano Parisi has been linked again with Leeds, but with a bit more substance to it this time. The left-back is also attracting interest from Lazio, and is an Italian under 21 international. Had a pretty decent season. Their club president admitted the club will need to sell players before they can buy anybody and strengthen their squad. He even went on to say that the market in January, well, we'll have to wait and see what we can do. We'll have to speak to Sarri, Parisi or Valeri for a left back. Someone has to leave before anyone comes in. So Leeds have had a look at Parisi before. Will they make the move for him? Will it be Kai Wagner? Which left back or any left back are we going to go for? And that will be an interesting one to see. Be ideal to get the positions that we need locked up early in the window. So that's the news for today. We're going to move on to the match preview and Jesse Marsh's press conference. So if you're not interested in the press conference, no problem. Thanks for watching the news. If you are, we'll crack on with the match view. So here we go. Liverpool coming up. Jesse under serious pressure, and he's coming out fighting, and I like that. I'm okay with that. I want to see a manager feel this. I don't want an apathetic manager sitting there, you know, leaning on his hands, being all dismissive about things. I want a manager who's going to dig in and see it. And Jesse's done that, and he said he's sick of losing. Good, because so we're sick of watching it as well. But he did say that he's never lost as much in his career, and that he wants to fix this, and he's digging in. He needs to come out fighting, but on top of that, so do the players. He has called out the players in an indirect way, and that could be motivational as well, and that's okay. Sometimes anger can be a very good motivator. They haven't had enough of it. Bielsa was very hard on the players, didn't put his arm around their shoulders at the end of the season. Jesse's come in with a very nice guy approach, has looked after the players, has minded them, and it's not working. So maybe a bit of tough love is what is needed with these players. He's called out players' mentality to see if they're ready to dig in and be with the club in this moment of crisis. There's a lot of players in that team, especially the weekend, who were walking around the pitch when Leeds were losing. You don't want to see that. Leeds have potentially potentially a ton of injuries here. I think it's Cooper, Sinistera, Adams, Forshaw, Dallas, of course. And it's tough looking into that game. There could be mind games as well. He's been kind of giving a lot away in his press conferences. Now it could be a case that he's just taking it back a bit and going, well, look, these players are all potentially injured. You know, muck up Jurgen Klopp's preparations for the game a little bit and then surprise him a little bit. But if he has got those injuries, it's going to be a tough day at the office. All I'm expecting from the Liverpool game is a performance. I don't want to see us get trashed. I would like to see a performance. I'm not judging Jesse Marsch's career on this game, but I will on Bournemouth. If he doesn't come out of Liverpool and Bournemouth with at least 3 points, I don't think he survives into the World Cup break. And I don't think at that point we should stick with him. Once again, if the Bournemouth game goes, tits up, then what's the point in hanging on to the manager? There's question marks over whether the Red Bull system works in the Premier League. We've seen Ralph Hasenhüttl struggle with it at times with Southampton. Very similar model. They're doing the exact same thing that we're doing. And he's gone on these huge long runs of defeats as well, and big defeats as well, before getting good runs of wins as well. Don't forget they went 15 games at the end of last season without a win and got dragged into a relegation fight, although be it at the higher end of the bottom half of the table. But it happens with this model. So will Jesse be flexible to change his model? Will he be forced into it with injuries? I'd like to see us get a bit more width in the team. I've my opinion on this. I'd like to see us go with 3 at the back. That would be my preference. You can play the wing backs then and focus on the strengths of the players. He talked about some changes of personnel over the World Cup as well. He talked about the fact that Leeds are looking at psychologists. This is a strange one because seeing people react to this. A modern day football club would usually have a couple of sports psychologists and sports scientists on their staff. Anyway, I know amateur clubs, even in Ireland, who have sports psychologists. I've worked with a sports psychologist in Ireland with an amateur team before as well. And a lot of the work that they do around is positive mindset. So it's around removing the deliberate negatives that are said, and things like, a manager saying in a dressing room beforehand, don't do anything stupid, don't dive in the first 5 minutes. The fact that you've said don't do that, you've planted the seed in the person's head where they might not have been thinking about it, and then they're likely to go and do it anyway because you planted that seed. So sports psychologists are a huge part of football. The top clubs in the world have teams of sports psychologists working with the players. You've got to remember that footballers are human. When you've got 38,000 people on your back and giving out about you and online complaining about you, that can have a detrimental impact to your mental health as well. So having psychologists to get them in the right frame of mind for games is a massive thing in football. It's part of the game. You got to deal with the people. You got to manage the people to get a performance out of them. There's a manager part of that, but there's also the human element of that as well. And the players need to be looked after and need to be managed. I've seen some strange reactions to this one as well. People complaining about Leeds bringing in psychologists and that. And going, we're probably one of the few clubs that don't have psychologists at this day and age. Like most of, as I said, top clubs all have psychologists. There's a whole industry of sports psychologists out there because of that. So, yeah, it's a thing that Leeds would need to bring in. I'm shocked that we don't already have it. I don't buy into this hard man football thing where you're not allowed, feel things. They do. They get affected. They have anxiety. They have pressure. It's all there. It all builds. And then there's underlying stuff as well. Like I'm somebody who has ADHD, and I know at times my anxiety levels go through the roof because of it, and for no reason at all. Can you imagine having that with pressure from the sidelines and pressure from the crowd as well? And then some of the stuff that's said on social media. I am all for criticising a manager's tactics. I am all for criticising the manager's ability to do a job. I'm all for criticising players and boards and that. I don't go down the route of insulting people. I don't see the point in it. If you've done a bad job in your job, great. You've done a bad job, you'll be sacked. You'll move on. Somebody else will come in. I don't lower myself to personal insults and digs at people because, everyone here watching this, you all have jobs. Everyone has jobs. If you're doing a bad job in your work, and somebody walks in and starts abusing you as a person rather than just commenting on the job they've done, you wouldn't like that. So I get it. I understand the need for sports psychologists in football. It's a smart move. It makes sense. And we should have already had it, let's be completely honest. So we'll have to see what happens there. I just hope, really, really hope that we don't get a stuffing when we're there as well in Liverpool. That's the only thing I'm hoping for. He needs a performance, and then Bournemouth, he needs a win. I don't think he gets sacked after Liverpool. And I said this in our podcast last night, in the American Leeds podcast. I'm not asking for managers to be sacked. I didn't look for Bielsa to be sacked. I didn't want him sacked. There's exceptions to that rule. Neil Warnock. There's exceptions to the rule. But in general, I don't look for managers to be sacked because I want them to be successful. I want every manager that manages Leeds to be a success, because if they're a success, then Leeds are a success. If I'm wishing and hoping for a manager to fail, then I'm hoping for my club to fail, and I don't want that. So I want the best from Leeds. So the best version of this is Jesse Marsch turns this around. Eddie Howe did it last year at Newcastle with a lot of backing in January. Jesse needs the same. We're coming into this, when we come out of the window, or we come out of these two games, there's a decision that has to be made after Bournemouth. If it's not good against Bournemouth, then Jesse has to be let go. However, if he gets a result and the club decide to stick with him, then they have got to back him from day one in January. They have got to go out and sign the players that he needs. If they do that, everything should be fine. So that's my thoughts on it, folks. Let me know your score predictions, what you think of the press conference yourself. Let me know down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Appreciate the support. And I will see you tomorrow morning for it. It'll go up as a premiere, so it'll look like it's live. It's not live, but the Cam Inman interview will be live tomorrow morning. And I will see you back here on Monday for the match view and for the news on Monday morning. Have a great weekend. Bye.